Good morning, everyone. I don't think I heard the chime. This morning, our service is rooted, inspired, and ready. As we celebrate this morning, we'll explore some ideas inspired by the UUA General Assembly this past year, the end of June. We invite you to consider, what are your roots? Personal, social, and theological. What inspires you? And what are you ready for? So we'll give you some food for thought. Pete will be lighting our chalice for us, and he has some words to go with it. So could someone please unmute our chalice? Pete, you need to unmute the chalice. Pete, come read. I'll read the words down here.
I've got it.
Okay, you got it.
In faith together, we light this small scrap of light, symbol of Grandfather Sun's enormous power, whose energy burns so brightly in these days of deep summer, catapulting the leaves and vines, vegetables, flowers, and fruits to astonishing size, lengths, and heights, spilling over the tops of cages, walls, and trellises, delighting and nourishing all beings. We bask in the warmth and the heat of these days, with lightened hearts and quickened senses, in gratitude and in faith.
So now we'll all be
like the first morning, blackbird has spoken, like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rains will fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
meme. I don't think I'm muted. So the meme says, shout out to plants for letting me feel something other than the boundless rage. He's going to go turn off the iPad because we have an echo here. Sorry, just 1 minute here because it's a bad sound.
I muted it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about GA, Rooted, Inspired, and Ready. But I want to begin, even though we've had some other moments, because of what happened at GA to me. I want to start by honoring the ancestors. The ancestors of this place where I'm sitting. The ancestors in Northborough that began our first parish. The families of the Nipmuc Nation who lived in Northborough since before recorded history. We honor each of our ancestors from wherever they came, near or far. General Assembly as a remote experience was not new for me because I had served as an online delegate in the past, but all virtual gave a more distant yet intimate experience. Attending 3 previous General Assemblies, we were very excited to think about going to Providence, and I know a lot of you were also, but I was not disappointed. It was a little bit of a taste, I think, of what online school must be like, but I was able to get up from my desk and do chores while I was listening. I'm still watching presentations and listening to the music. You can visit the UUA website to look at public recordings. So I will put a link to that on our First Parish website. There are a lot of other things that you can follow there that are inspiring. So my head is still spinning with ideas, and I'm just going to name a few of the workshops that I attended and events. The Where lecture was given by Naomi Klein, and it primarily focused on her case for the Green New Deal. And she highlighted that we UUs, because of our living by our principles, have been a large part of that movement for a long time. So I would think that we're in good shape with that to stay inspired and ready. The conversation for Sophia Faz, reflecting on teachings of Indigenous peoples, was very inspiring. Anne and Cindy, when we had our little breakdown, had some of the same comments that we had about how Unitarian Universalists pick and choose the things that they like from different teachings and religions and act as if they're our own without necessarily crediting the source or really understanding the source, so that we have a lot of work to do. So those were the 2 other things that I focused on actually in the workshops. One was settler colonialism and the history of erasure and exclusion. That was by the featured speaker, Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, who wrote this book, backwards and upside down. So that's going to be one of my readings for getting ready. One of the fun things that I watched was Deeper Than the Skin, a musical presentation on race with Reggie Harris and Greg Greenway, who've done a lot of speaking about Deeper Than the Skin, their musical presentation, because that's what they do. They talk about how they met and they work together musically. So I was proud to participate as a delegate. We voted, but I think it was 97%, and for Amen to Uprising, a commitment and call to action. And also approved, I think 94%, for 400 years of white supremacist colonialism, sorry. So I really learned a lot, and people shared directly. It was, like I said, we felt distance, but it was intimate. I was inspired, and I'm still inspired. So I'll be adding those links to our website, as well as the report from the Commission on Institutional Change, and there are several discussions about that were wonderful during GA. And of course, UU the Vote, which is our half plate for the month of August. So when I see our UU community here in Northborough and the towns we live in, involved in local leadership, advocating for change, it makes me happy. From our own Black Lives Matter banner to Northborough standouts for Black Lives Matter and our young people being involved. Some of you are engaged in removing Indigenous symbols and names from schools. and teams that have misappropriated their use. Some of you serve in public office. I'm excited to consider connecting with the Nipmuc Nation as an individual, and I hope as a congregation, as we prepare to celebrate the 275th anniversary of the beginning of First Parish Northborough. So that's why I just wanted to give a little introduction to the slideshow, that I'm thinking about misappropriation and how we use music and stories from other cultures that nurture us, and then I feel like they're mine, but are they mine? So in the slideshow, I tried to use our source, and yes, I quoted from the book, but I tried to make it my story to share with all of you. And I did oversimplify it because it just felt right to do it that way. So Pam, if you'd start the slideshow and I'll just read it through. So the Three Sisters, from Braiding Sweetgrass: Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants, by Robin Wall Kimmerer. The author, Robin Wall Kimmerer, who was an active member of the Potawatomi Nation, taught general botany and found that the plants themselves are the best teachers. One of her students observed the composition of the Three Sisters. It's like the elements of design: unity, balance, and color. I look at the sketch in her notebook, and she's seeing it as a painting. Long leaves, round leaves, lobed and smooth, yellow, orange, tan on a matrix of green. See the way it works? Corn is the vertical element and squash horizontal, and it's all tied together with these curvilinear lines. The beans, ravishing, she claims with a flourish. Their August potluck celebrates the Three Sisters with dishes to share. Tables fill up with trays of golden corn bread, 3-bean salad, round bean cakes, black bean chili, and summer squash casserole. My friend Lee brings a platter of pumpkins stuffed with cheesy polenta. There's a steaming pot of Three Sisters soup, all green and yellow, with slices of summer squash floating in the broth. The genius of the Three Sisters lies not only in the process by which they grow, but also in the complementarity of the three species on the kitchen table. They taste good together. And the Three Sisters also form a nutritional triad that can sustain a people. Corn in all its guises, a superb form of starch. All summer, the corn turns sunshine into carbohydrate so that all winter the people can have food energy. But a human cannot subsist on corn alone. It's not nutritionally complete. Just as the bean complements the corn in the garden, it collaborates in the diet as well. By virtue of their nitrogen-fixing capacity, beans are high in protein and fill in the nutritional gaps left by corn. A person can live well on beans and corn. Neither alone would suffice. But neither beans nor corn have the vitamins that squash provide in their carotene-rich flesh. Together, they are once again greater than alone. One more segment to share. There's an earthly sexuality to a garden, and most of the students get drawn into the revelation of the fruit. I have them carefully open an ear of corn without disturbing the corn silk that plumes from the end. First, the outer husks are pulled away, then layer after layer of inner leaves, each thinner than the next until the last layer is exposed, so thin and tightly pressed to the corn that the shape of the kernels show through. It's magical. As we draw near the last layer, the sweet, milky scent of corn rises from the exposed ear, row upon row of yellow kernels. We look closely and follow an individual strand of corn silk. Outside, the husk is brown and curly, but inside it is colorless and crisply succulent, as if filled with water. Each little strand of silk connects a different kernel inside the husk to the outside world. Only when the corn kernels are fertilized will they grow plump and yellow. A corn cob is the mother of hundreds, as many children as there are kernels, each with a potentially different father. Is it any wonder she is called the corn mother? So I've lost my page.
Right there.
Oh yes, it's time for Joys and Sorrows. Meditation for you. Pam will be starting the slideshow. It's called My People's Hands, from a new book by Sean Dennison. It was released at General Assembly. Pam, can you turn off that sound thing? Shall I just read the meditation? Good job. My people's hands. My people are the ones whose hands are raised, who walk through the world with hands up, not in surrender, but demand. Hands up, don't shoot, not surrender, but command. Hands up, they will stop the bullets, stop the killings, stop anything that wants them dead. My people are the ones whose hands high in the air dance and tremble, whose eyes are wise with what they know of their own hearts. My people have jazz hands dipped in glitter that leave a shimmering trail, an escape route from both the closet and the grave. My people use their hands to love each other and themselves. My people's hands are unashamed. My people's hands, no longer scarred or broken, have healed stigmata and found true gods. My people reach up to the sun and touch the curved body of the night goddess, rise up to caress the moon and break their chains. My people's hands worship of their own free will, care nothing for the insecure demands of false idols. My people's hands were made for praise. My people's hands are not content with "this is how it has always been." My people are the shapers of clay, choosing form and texture, keeping time by rhythm and rest, meter and metaphor. My people's hands create pictures of what is and what can be. Paint beautiful warnings in colors that exist only for this moment, from this message. For people's hands are constantly ablaze. My people's hands do not wait for permission, travel in constant amazement through time and space to gather bones and blessings, set markers, and plant traces of past and futures along the way. My people's hands smell of soil and sun and stained with earth, always calloused by the unrelenting work of hope. My people's hands are unafraid.
Rooted, inspired, ready. That was the theme of this year's General Assembly. So what does that mean for me? What's my story? Well, being rooted, I guess being an engineer, I pretend that I'm highly rational. So I think that I understand to be loving and useful to those I love and everyone around me, I first have to take care of myself. But I realize I'm drawn to do this every morning. I first read the news when I get up, and then I start to get fidgety, and I realize I have to go outside. I check out the flowers, and I water the greenhouse. I see how all the veggies are doing, and how much we donated to the hungry deer the night before. I need to do this almost every day, and it feels wonderful. I guess I'm rooted in the earth, and I'm thankful to my connection to that which keeps me alive. Being inspired. All my life, I've been uncomfortable seeing the trouble and misery of other people. And for years, I really didn't know what to do about it. When I joined First Parish, I saw that the UUA every year suggested a book to read. So I did. The first one I read was The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. It was shocking to realize what I didn't know about my own country. I attended workshops with Linda on racial justice and other topics. I kept on learning. I read the book each year the UUA suggested. And now, knowing more than I did before about myself and the rest of the world, I think I'm ready. Recently, there was a stand-up demonstration for Black Lives Matter advertised in Sterling. And with my new understanding of the world, Linda and I just looked at each other and said, yeah, let's go, it's time. It was easy to know what to do. So I'm still uneasy about what I should do in the world, but I think I'm ready to do what I can.
So I think we have time, if people would like to share some of the things that might have come to their mind, and the questions are in the chat again. What are your roots? Personal, social, and theological. What inspires you? And what are you ready for? So speak to any of those, but I'd love to hear what you think about these things.
This is Celia here. What inspires me is the kindness of others. And it brings out my then being kinder.
What inspires me is what I see as a constant search for freedom and responsibility that I think it's certainly expressing in our time, in our generation. But I also think over time, I really believe that for all of the troubles that we're in and the challenges that we face, that we will inevitably achieve a better time. And I think it's that faith and conviction that keeps me engaged with politics. And it's just been such a joy to come to Massachusetts and not have to seek out people who agree with me, rather be surrounded by them. So thank you so much for that experience. I've lived in a conservative community for almost 40 years before we came here, and I got along well with everyone. I don't want to put it that way, but it's, there's just much more harmony of opinion here, and I'm grateful to all of you, so thank you.
I'm ready for more personal social justice. I'm ready to hold more signs and get it out there. I'm just so frustrated. The injustices that I see every day just bring me to tears. So if anybody wants me to hold a sign next to them, please call me, text me, do something, and I'll get out there with you. Thank you.
I wanted to share that I actually feel very disillusioned, and I don't feel very inspired by a lot of things. And I actually have been fairly active in my life. Throughout my life, I actually went to South Africa because I was horrified by racial injustice and brutality, and was there during the first democratic elections. That was very inspiring for me to participate. But I have to say that since this country went to war in Iraq, I was very active against the war, and I brought hundreds upon hundreds of signatures to my senator, Kerry at the time, met with Congressman McGovern. I had candlelight vigils, I held signs, I attended protests. And the reality is that, like, that war happened, and I don't know, I feel like this concept of misinformation and the, like, going to war when there was not, it was based on untruths. And I don't know, I just feel like that started to erode a lot of things back then. And I made a decision at that point to then try to do what I could do in my own personal sphere. So as a teacher, I took a stand against bullying in a private school and was willing to get fired and sued them for 6 years up to the Supreme Judicial Court, and spent really almost 9 years of my life working on that case and made a footnote of case law, but ultimately lost. And so I feel sort of really uninspired about everything, to be honest, about my ability to make a change in a small circle, my ability to make a change in a big circle. And I just feel like the power of the economic division is such, it's like this huge tidal wave that nobody has any control over because it's already so huge. So I don't know, I'm so negative, but I just wanted to say how I really feel. So I hope you are not offended, but I don't feel inspired. That's how I feel.
So one of the things that I had, I've always felt helpless in the face of so many things that I felt were wrong with the world. And one of the things that inspires me is the young people who breathe enthusiasm into movements when the rest of us have just fatigued, you know. And I think that's a big thing that I really heard. Fatigue for, you know, just ramming your head up against a wall and not being able to make any change. But I feel like now there's so many people, I think, who felt that way. And with enough of us, I'm hoping that a tidal wave can wash away some of the filth.
Does anybody else have anything they want to share?
Hi, I do. I was thinking about this when I first said nothing inspires me. I have no idea. Anyway, listening to Lou, I really think seeing so many people who are obviously out there and really caring about it, and they're probably the tip of the iceberg of people who do. Some of us are not in place physically to go do it, but
Postcards.
what?
Postcards.
I know. But there are other things that we can do. One of the things that I'm going to do, and I've recruited a couple more people to do it with me, several more at this point, is to write postcards to help to bring out the vote and in swing states. And also I'm going to start doing the texting Tuesday thing where you send text messages to people and have, you know, they teach you and have conversations about with people who want information, which I think is really great. They said it's been the most effective thing that they have had. This is the Women's March group, in terms of helping people get to the polls and to find out what they need to do, how to make sure they weren't wiped out of the voter roll and so forth. So that's really good. Other things, my community, our community is Mosaic, definitely inspires me. It seems like we're always doing something here because we have people here, and it's like we have the ideal situation with all this pandemic going around that we still can see people, sit on the porch far, or, you know, apart from each other, or we're walking on the paths. When I walk the dog, I see people, and that's really nice. The other thing is that there are, I don't know how many of us, 12, 14 people who are reading and working through the Me and White Supremacy workbook, which is really good. And Val and I were in different groups. They broke us into little groups, and she's already gone through it, but I didn't. The group I joined is like twice a week we read something, so thank goodness I can do it every day. But it's intense, talking about hearing and seeing things that you'd never thought about and didn't recognize. It's, yeah. What am I ready for? I don't feel ready for anything except for this damn pandemic to go away. That I'm ready for.
I think we're all ready for that, but it's going to be
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. So that's about it for now.
Thank you all for your ideas. I want to say that I do feel ready, and I think get out the vote and what we can do individually in our circles, it really gives me hope. It also gives me something to do besides digging in the dirt. But I'm really happy that I get to do that every day. I feel a great sadness for the people that are in apartments that don't have access to the out of doors. The healing power of nature is really great, and I dig plants.
Yeah, I don't dig plants. Val does that. I was just going to say, of the postcards, I ordered 500 postcards, and they should be coming this week. If anybody would like to help write postcards, I can get with you and give you the information and all once I have it. So let me know. SusanRAtlas@gmail.com.
So you can share that maybe in the Tuesday email, if that can go out for some kind of group activity.
Okay.
We can figure out how to do that. That sounds excellent.
Okay, thank you.
And I think some of the things that we're reading, let's have some either Facebook Live or Zoom groups or whatever to talk about the books we're reading and what we've learned. That's what I know I'm ready for, is to learn more and to really be ready to change my viewpoint. I thought I was on a pretty good path, but I realized that I've got a long way to go. So with that, would you please play our postlude for us? Oh, I'm sorry. Pete's going to extinguish the chalice first. Thank you for joining us in worship today. Donations to our First Parish Ministry are always appreciated, and information on how to do this is in the chat box. But if you're struggling in these difficult economic times, please take care of yourself instead. In a moment, you will be invited into one of our coffee hour breakout rooms. We'll chat for about 7 minutes and come back together to mingle a bit more and then say our goodbyes. So I guess we'll have skip the postlude. I don't want to skip the postlude, so can you do that first?
There will be better days. 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 Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am already under. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be be better days. There will be better days. There will be.
I saw you, Anne.
I did too. So now I guess we're ready for breakout rooms.
Yep, let me get those going.
I just love that song so much.
Oh, I wanted to thank you for playing that. That was so joyful.
It was fun to do.
Oh, it's just the way it builds. I loved it. Loved it.
Hi, Donna.
Hi.
Hi, Diane. So good to see you.
Oops, what's this? Oh dear.
See you back after the breakout.
Do you guys know how to join the breakout room? You should have a button on your screen to press. Susan, do you see a pop-up window on your screen